going to power rank the 16 teams from NA and EU. We're not doing OCE or SAM because, don't have enough time in the day to watch everything. So we're going to power rank. The way I'm going to do this is I'll probably put up 4 relatively quickly or do my speech on the 4. And then we'll go to chat, see if there's any disagreements, or we'll just, we'll chat with chat for a minute or two, and then we'll go back and we'll continue the list. So, let's get into it. Let's do it. Let me open this up. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom, work our way to the top, obviously. So we all know who's probably on top anyway, but let's start. Number 16. Now, before I start, the power rankings for me, the way I feel power rankings should be necessarily is, like, if these teams played tomorrow, who would win that game? So if a team is ranked 16 versus 15, I would think, that the 15 team would beat the 16 team if they played tomorrow. It's all guesswork. It's not based on their standings necessarily, which we'll see with Dignitas will probably be up higher than most people expect probably. But it's more about if they played tomorrow, would they win or not? And that's basically how I rank these guys. Obviously, it's all opinion, and I'm probably wrong. You're probably right. That's how it works, right? I think so. Yeah. Let's get into it. Number 16. We're going to go with Splice. Putting them at 16 because I feel like, one, I can never spell their name right. I always want to put the Y in front of the L because their acronym is SPY, and I always want to do it, and I always misspell it, and I almost misspelled it for our Player of the Week watch because it was like big sweep over Splice. But they just played Rogue, and they did not look good again. Like, they looked okay week 1, obviously, when they played Ghost and C9. But since then, they've looked probably the worst team in NA, in my opinion. And I think they need to find a way out of this hole. But for now, they'll be ranked 16. Not looking great. Next up, Ghost will be our number 15. I want to see how this is centered. Okay, it fits. Ghost will be 15. Ghost is in a similar spot. I think Ghost at least played somewhat close to G2, and like I see signs of them maybe improving slightly, but I still feel like it's a lot of just solo ball, and there's not a lot of passing going on for Ghost, and I'm a little concerned for them because they, like, if they go to promotion relegation, like if they play this solo ball, it's not going to be great. Splice also just not a lot of offense going on either, but they've played all of the big 3 now, so they still have a lot of matches left versus the other teams that are in the other 5, the 5 outcasts, whatever you want to call them. So they have a chance to make their way back in, but right now it hasn't looked that pretty, and Illusion, he still has some defensive mistakes going on. Like, I feel like he might be one of the weakest players right now in the RLCS, and I wasn't expecting that coming in. Like, I thought he would at least show up a little bit better, but I feel like there's a lot of mistakes happening with him. And it sucked for that overtime where I feel like Ghost played pretty well in that really long overtime versus G2, but it all came down to like that one mistake by Illusion. And sure, it's not fair that we're going to be like, hey, they lost at overtime because of Illusion, but that's the way it is, right? Like, whoever makes that last mistake, whoever concedes that goal, it's like, well, you're going to get some heat for it. So, I think Illusion still needs to step up a bit more, but Ghost, at least their schedule gets a little bit easier, and they still have a chance, but they need to win at least 2, maybe even all 3 to get in. Next up, number 14. Actually, I should bring up my sheet just to make sure I'm doing it. Okay. Number 14, I have a Mouse. So, Mouse has been hit or miss for me. Like, I feel like I love their offense when they get it going. But their defense has been incredibly shaky this entire season, and it's causing them to lose some series. Like, I like a lot when it's on the offensive side, but I feel like they can't figure out the defensive side of the ball right now. And they laid a huge egg versus Dignitas. It was not a great series. Like, I think Mouse still has, like, they probably, like, out of these 3 teams so far, have the most potential to move up in these rankings, because I feel like if they clean up that defense and they keep the offense going at least a little bit, then they have way more chances to win series. But Mouse kind of laid an egg this week. I was actually saying on broadcast where it's like pretty much every European team looked actually really good this week, I thought, except for Mouse, which hurts Mouse even more because they have to play all these teams. So Mouse didn't look great. And yeah, like it's kind of weird. I was saying this earlier on the normal part of the stream. Is like at the beginning of the season, we were like, all right, Mouse, Splice, and Rogue, right? 3 really crappy teams in the offseason. But they were picking it up, at least week 1 and week 2. We're like, all right, cool. They're competitive. And then week 3, they both like just lay an egg. For Mouse and Splice, not Rogue, obviously. But, which I was surprised. I thought the improvements would keep coming throughout the season, but it really hasn't. So that's my number 13. 14. Now, my number 13 might be a questionable one for some of you, but I'm going to put Evil Geniuses here. Actually, that's too long, so I'm going to put EG. And I always misspell geniuses, which is funny. But 13 is EG. I feel like not much is going right. Like, the only thing that's going right, I feel like, on this team is Drippe, when he gets chances on the offensive side, he scores those goals. Problem is, there's not a lot of chances being created, and on the defensive side of the ball, it's been pretty miserable for EG. I feel like there's been a lot of like easy mistakes that can be cleaned up, but I put EG here. I just haven't seen a lot of creative offense from them. They have that hammer with Drippe, but again, like on the defensive side, he's made a lot of mistakes though too. So it's like it's push and pull there, where it's kind of evening out, and it's for him at least. And then I feel like both Corrupt G and Classics really haven't done much this season except for week number 1. So I have EG here at 13, and here's where we'll go to the chat and see what you guys think so far. But again, so I'm going to be ranking these teams in the middle. I'm sorry, not in the middle, but between both of them. So obviously we'll have some Europeans, some NA, and this will be a comparison as best that we can get between Europe teams and NA teams. So right now in the bottom 4, I have 3 NA and 1 Europe. One thing I don't like at all is whenever anyone brings up, like if we say someone's playing poor on the defensive side, one of the arguments that is not an argument is, but he has the most saves. That is not an argument. Saves is one of the most worthless stats we have in Rocket League because it's just like who's in front of the ball or who's in net when a shot comes on. Pretty much everyone can save most things. It doesn't really matter. There's some exceptions, obviously, when there's some really big-time saves. But when we say someone has been playing poor defensively, there is no stat for how many goals have they given up because of their mistakes. There's only stat for like, oh, he made a save. It's like, saves are relatively easy in Rocket League for the most part. So I never understand that argument of like, hey, Drippy's playing great on defense. He's got the most saves in the league or something. It's like, those two things don't correlate necessarily. So that's one of the things I'm not a huge fan of. Splice over Ghost. Ghost had the tougher schedule so far. They've had similar schedules. Ghost has had the tougher schedule, but I just feel like that Splice versus Rogue match where Splice just got trounced and Ghost at least competed decently with G2. That's why I probably bump Ghost ahead of Splice, because I feel like right now if they played, I think Ghost would take that series. Because Splice has had a really, really weak showing. But, yeah. Splice also beats Ghost. Lawler, get the hell out of here. But again, yeah, like this isn't rankings based on their standings or anything like that. Just if they played today, who I think would win. So I think Mouse would beat both Ghost and Splice. Ghost would beat Splice. EG would beat all 3 of those. So that's what I would have right now. Let's see what else we got here. Seems like there's only 4 real contenders for the world title right now. Cloud9, Energy, Vitality, and TSM. Like, if you're going to throw TSM in there, I feel like you have to throw in Barcelona. Sure, they got swept by Vitality, but they also played TSM real close, and they could have won that series. So, I don't know. Like, I think Barcelona has a chance to redeem themselves later on in the season, but we'll get to them in a little bit. No worries, Blinders. No worries. Yeah, like, I feel like on EG, just nothing's really going all that well for them right now. But there's still time to make up for that because they've had a pretty tough schedule as well. So there's still time to impress. And because they've played all of the big 3. Them and Ghost are the only teams that have played all of the big 3 so far. So they could easily beat these teams that are probably going to be just above them in the rankings. So we'll see when they play them. See if Classics and Corrupted G, I feel like, can get more offensive going, I guess I would say. And then it should help out on the defensive side for Drippe, as well as should help out Drippe on the offensive side. But I think it starts with Classics and Corrupted G trying to create better offensive opportunities. Next up, we're going to go to number 12. We're going to go Rogue here at number 12. So just slightly ahead of EG. Rogue destroyed Splice, and I think that was a good sign for them. And I think they're on their way up. They looked pretty strong. I can't put them ahead of Space Station just yet, but I think that match could be really interesting. But Rogue is getting there. It seems like they're finally heating up. I feel like AJ's finding his form, pulling off his old moves similar to what Prime Thunder used to do. We saw that a little bit last season, but usually Prime Thunder was the one doing them. But AJ did a few, and he's starting to get there as well. Crow's playing really well. Like, if there was an MVP race where I had to put, like, one player from each team, he would probably be ahead of Sipical, I think, on Space. So he would be, like, number 4. Like, obviously, Big 3 are going to have their MVPs first. But he's in the running, at least, to make a top 3 spot for that. He's having a really good season. I've been really impressed with him, and it shows that he definitely deserves to be in the RLCS. And we'll see if Rogue can move up this list. I think Rogue has some pretty good potential to make the World Championship. I feel like them, Space Station, and EG are going to fight for it, and we'll see who gets it. But on any given day, if Rogue keeps this momentum, then it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. Okay. All right. Next up, we got the Bricks. I have the Bricks at number 11. I guess we'll just call them Bricks. Hopefully everything's fitting. I think everything's fitting. Can't really see it right now. So I have Bricks at number 11. They've had some close series. They won one, they lost one, but now it's getting tough towards the end for them with their schedule. And that's not necessarily going to mean why I put them this low. I just think there's still a lot of inconsistencies with them, and I worry about them in matches. But let's see real quick what their schedule is. They still have, so they play Barcelona next week. Thanks, Windows Update. Then in the final week of the season, they play Dignitas and they play TSM. So that bold prediction at the start of the season might come true for the number 7 spot, but I just feel, I don't know. I feel like Mystic is hit or miss, and I love when he's on. He's just, when he's not on, I feel like the offense really struggles. Speed, I feel like really hasn't shown up this season at all yet. And I get a little bit from week 1 and week 2, you know, getting back into it, but he didn't really show up this week all that well either. So I'm a little worried. Little worried for the Bricks, so I have them at number 11. And again, that's because we're in a really, really tough European region as well. So it's not necessarily that they're terrible, but that's why I have them at 11 ahead of 4 NA teams, right? Yeah, 4 NA teams. So that's where I have the Bricks. Next up, number 10. Let's get back to my list. This is where I put Space Station Gaming. So at number 10, I can't do that full name. That's just silly. That's just silly. So Space Station Gaming at number 10. They had a bad week. They played a Hot Energy, though, so I don't know how much that matters. But I still like Space Station Gaming. Like, I think they have a lot of good speed on that team, some good vision on passes. They started hitting their shots last week, at least, with that big 3-0 over EG. And I think they're still the favorites in my mind to make the World Championship out of NA. That doesn't include the big 3, but time will tell. I'm going to go over and see who they play this week, because it'll be a big week for them, because they're probably playing some of their peers here. Let's see. Space Station. Who do you play? You play Ghost. Oh, Ghost, and that's it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Ghost and C9. And they have... Their final week is the one that's going to matter the most, probably Splice and Rogue. So we'll see where they end up. But if they can take down Ghost, then they're looking pretty good for a playoff spot. So we'll see how that goes. But I like this team. I liked them all the way back at DreamHack, and I said they would win DreamHack as my underdog pick. That didn't happen. But hey, they took Vitality 5, and they lost in the final second. So I'm going to take some solace in that. That they, at times, look pretty good. And I think they'll just keep getting better and better with the nerves. Yeah, there's Space Station. Number 9. Next up. I'm sorry, number 10. Number 9, I have Triple Trouble. So I have them just slightly above. Now, Triple Trouble's a weird one to me because I was so disappointed in them in the first 2 weeks, and I was hoping that they would show more of what they showed when they played Dig at DreamHack. And then they finally started to show some stuff this week. And I feel like this team, maybe out of all of the teams that I'm ranking, I have more emphasis on this week than any other, which could have been bad because it could have been a 3-0 sweep where they lost to PSG, but they pulled it back, and I feel like they're starting to play well again. And if they play like this, I think they can take out the teams below them. But the problem is, can they actually do this every week? I'm siding on the yes side, but I don't know. But I liked seeing Cassio and Ronicky get that offense going between the two of them. They were getting a lot of good offensive plays. And that's what we need to see from them. We need to see Cassio and Ronicky doing good things on the offensive side. And we saw it this week. So I have Triple Trouble at number 9. All right, we'll go back to chat real quick. Let's read some stuff, and then we'll continue this list. As you can see right now, might be some surprise, but there's still no Dignitas yet. And tell me if you have any other surprises so far for this list. All right, let me go up for a quick. Someone saying overestimating Triple Trouble. That's fair. That's fair. That's probably one of my ones that I could see being the most overestimated. Them and Dignitas maybe, which we'll see in a little bit. Don't forget to update my drivers for this presentation. Blinders, I'll kill you. I kill you. Someone said to me that Cux is first in Golden Striker and they have a negative record. Yeah, Cux is trying to carry, man. He's trying to carry on the bricks, but it's not enough. They need other players to help him out, and yeah, it's just not really working. I think the brick success was more of a fluke at WSOE. I haven't seen much consistency-wise. I agree to an extent. Like, I think when they won WSOE, no one was calling for them to be the best in the world necessarily, and I think there's good reason for that. Plus, it was their first tournament, obviously, with speed, which is always a good sign, but I was always worried about them. They didn't look great at DreamHack. They did make the final day, but like the final days series where they played Vitality, sure, it was close, but it was really strange, and it probably shouldn't have been close. And also, they almost got bounced out by PSG earlier. So, I'm just not sold on them. And we'll see, though. They have 3 games left, and the one thing that's good for the Bricks, sure, they're inconsistent, but as it's seen at WSOE, they can beat the best teams. So they have 3 of the best teams coming up, or 3 of the better teams. Barcelona, Dig if they're playing well, and TSM. They can steal one of those wins. That's very, very possible. So we'll see how that goes. And if they do steal a win, it's going to be tough because 2 wins might not net you a playoff spot anyway right now because everyone is so close. Like Dignitas, Mouse, Bricks, and Barcelona are all with 1 win. I expect Barcelona to get above that. I expect Dignitas to get above that. And then if the Bricks get above that and hit 2 wins, then it comes down to game differential. Right now, they're only 1 game better than Dignitas, and they're 2 games worse than Barcelona, but Barcelona has 1 less loss, which is good and bad, obviously, because if they get another loss, they'll tie them. But I think it's going to be difficult for them at 2 wins to even make it. So it might need 3 wins at that point. It just depends on how the series scores goes. What's up, Ty? How you doing, man? What else did I miss here? Yeah, it would be insane if Cuxer goes to relegation. It'll be the first time ever. He's always been in the top 6 at RLCS, so that'll be very, very interesting. Later, Vicky Voodoo. All right, so if you guys have any guesses, feel free to put them out in chat. It'll pop up on the screen, and you'll be glorified if you get it all right for what I have left. But here we go. Number 8. So I think this middle of the pack it could kind of flip either way. I feel like 11 through probably 7. Any of these teams I feel like could flip based on the day. But number 8, I have Dignitas. So Dignitas, I can't do the full word. I don't know why I keep trying to do it. So Dig, they kind of destroyed Mouse. Like game 1 sure was close, but after that, like I think a lot of that was Mouse just kind of playing poorly. So we still have to see what's coming. But it's one of those things where I still think most European teams fear playing Dignitas just because it's still Dignitas. They know how to win when they need to win. So that's why I have Dignitas up here. It's probably more about what they have done before. I was really impressed with Yukio this week. I was really excited for him. In game number 1, had some big plays. In game number 2, that fake infield pass to that slight hesitation to off the backboard pass was beautiful, and those are the plays I want to see from Yukio. If he keeps that up, he could carry that team. So Von Panda and Turbo, they obviously played better too. It's hard to tell where they're at because they played a weak mouse, but I have faith in Dignitas. Like, if Dignitas played any of these teams below them today, I would have Dignitas in my predictions, so that's why I have them at number 8. Next up, number 7, PSG. Now, I don't know exactly why I have PSG here, honestly. It's very, very difficult. I don't know where to put PSG. PSG is a very weird team. I feel like they could easily be number 10. I couldn't put them below Bricks right now, I think, but it would be close. I guess I could, because that series went to 5. But again, these picks 7 through 11 are so incredibly close. PSG, I have number 7. I don't know. It just depends what we see from PSG. It's so hard to tell what they're going to do. But when they're looking good, they look real good. Like, when they beat Dignitas in a 3-0, that wasn't mostly Dignitas messing up. That was a lot of PSG doing a lot of things right. That reverse sweep, though, by Triple Trouble, you just can't have that. You just can't have that, PSG. But at least to their credit, I felt like Triple Trouble played really well in that series. But I don't know. Because, PSG beats Dig, but Triple Trouble beats PSG. PSG barely beats the Bricks. You could throw them anywhere between 7 and 11, and I couldn't argue. It. But for now, I'll have them 7. Don't know why. PSG is one of those teams that's sure, why not? I don't know. Who knows what's going on? All right, next up. All right, so we have some guesses here. So, all right, so we're going to take a minute because I feel like now we're getting to the top 6, which I feel like has a considerable gap over the rest of the field. Maybe 6, maybe not as much, but what are your guesses for number 6? That's what I want to know. We have a lot of TSMs for number 6, which is surprising to me. We have Barcelona. Okay, so these make more sense. We have some Barcelona picks. We have... Oh, someone hosted me, I think, too, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. We have a lot of Barcelonas, which makes a lot more sense, and a lot of G2s. Those two make sense. It's weird. We'll get into TSM in a bit, but they are not number 6. Spoilers here. Number 6, I have G2. Now, G2, if you heard us on the desk, no one sold on G2 yet. They've had some shaky results. But the best thing is they're 4-0 at this time. But now they're going to play Energy in C9. And if they play like they've been playing, Energy and C9 are going to sweep them. Or maybe a 3-1. G2 has not been playing all that strong. We'll see what's going on. The one thing I'm surprised about is I loved what I saw from game number 1 from Rizzo, where he actually got some offense going, had a nice double tap, had some solid plays going. Then after that, it's completely quiet. They just rely on JNEPS and Chicago to do the heavy lifting. When you play Energy or C9, you're going to need all 3 players doing stuff on the offensive side, so I wonder how that's going to be incorporated. But I feel like when Rizzo plays better teams, and when they need him to do stuff, he will. So we'll see. I think they will play up to their competition a bit. But it could be bad too. It could get ugly. It's tough. I feel like G2, they need to prove that they're part of this big 3 that we keep calling it. We'll see. It's tough. I feel like Energy... I feel like Energy is going to smack them. That's my guess. If you put a gun to my head. But that's why I have G2 at number 6. I'm not completely sold on them. But they are definitely better than anyone below them. That there's a pretty decent gap, I feel like, between G2 and PSG. So, let's go into number 5. You guys all guessed Barcelona or G2, so I assume most of you are going to think Barcelona, which is pretty easy. Every time I type Barcelona, now I'm just a silly American, I always want to put RCB. Because RC car, I don't know why. I'm not used to these football clubs. So here we go. We have Barcelona at number 5. Sure, they had a really bad series versus Vitality, and they played terrible. And especially Devo. When we went back for the VOD review, a lot of panic touches. Vitality just sat at midfield and was like, try and dribble us. And then they're like, we don't want to dribble. Throw the ball away. Throw the ball away. And that's all they would do. So that was a terrible series for them. When they played TSM, honestly, it was one controller DC away from taking that win. And I really want to see TSM versus Barcelona semifinal to see who gets another crack at Vitality. When we get to the EU regionals, I think it'll be a really, really close game. And it could go either way. But I think Barcelona is obviously better than what they showed versus Vitality. And again, they could have beat TSM. And their schedule's been relatively rough. They've played the top two teams so far, Vitality and TSM. So I'm not incredibly worried about them. But at the same time, we haven't seen them play these other teams. So we'll see how that works. We'll see if any of these teams can counter their playstyles. But for now, I have Barcelona at number 5. All right. So before we get into our top 4, if you guys have any questions or if you think I have a terrible list and tell me why G2 is number 1, feel free to do it now. Air all grievances before we get to the top 4. We have a lot of guesses coming out. We'll save the guesses for a little bit. So if you guys have any comments, I'll read those first. And then we'll get back into our picks. Try to see if I missed anything else. PSG certainly have a case for number 7 unless they are 2 up in a series. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Woody. You're not wrong. It's hard to tell how good the top 4 of NA is because they don't have decent opponents. I would say top 3, but yeah, like I could agree with you there a bit. It's going to be fun to see them all play each other. Like I'm probably going to make a who I think is MVP so far for each league later on in the week. And it's really tough for NA. Like as James said, like it literally doesn't matter for NA because it all comes down to how do you perform versus the big 3, right? Right now, probably Justin is the favorite, but it's like if he sucks versus G2, he's out of the MVP race, you know? It's like it's that simple. Because I don't care how badly you dominate the bottom 5. It's all about trying to get the number 1 spot in league play, or at least top 2, versus the teams that you are compared to. And so we'll see how that goes. All right, let's see if we got any things here. Can you comment on Cooks and Mystic being up for Golden Striker but being 7th? I mean, that just, you know, they're getting some offense going, but that also means their defense is not doing too well. It's that simple. Like, sure, stats look great, but on the offensive side, but there's the whole other side of the field. I'm just saying I live in New Jersey and can't make land. That sucks, Bucky. That really sucks. One thing I was surprised with the Alpha DC, I'm surprised. Now, I don't know if he's had issues with his wire, but it's like, man, I would have like 5 different super good USB wires ready at all times. And I wonder like if this is his first DC or not on this. And I would have like 3 backup controllers ready at this point. But hopefully it's not an issue that's been going on for a while. And he's like, it won't happen. It won't happen in the RLCS, but hopefully not. Okay, some people don't see the appeal of C9. We'll get to them in a little bit. Put TSM 4 after seeing them versus Barcelona in game 1. All right, energy on a 9-game winning streak or something. Yeah, something like that. Energy, you're looking solid. He used to play on laptop. That's true. But he plays on PC, like a normal PC, I assume now at this point. All right. Now get your guesses in for your top 4. It's not incredibly hard to predict, I would say. But if you want some predictions, go for it. All right. 4th, a lot of people are saying C9. C9. I'll rank Dig higher in a couple weeks. I think, like, probably out of the potential to move up out of this bottom area, I would say Mouse could. They could move up at least over the NA teams and maybe Bricks. Have they played yet? I can't remember off the top of my head. They haven't played, right? Oh, no, that they have played. They have played. I keep forgetting. It's a lot of games, you know? Yeah, oh, yeah. They lost 2-5, so... the problem is Mouse at this point. They have Barcelona, which I feel like Barcelona's going to run over them. They have PSG, which they could win because just let PSG go up 2-0. And then they have Vitality. So their schedule is not favorable for the end of the season. So maybe they can't really move up just because of what they have left. I think Triple Trouble, like I still want to see that DreamHack Triple Trouble for that one magical series. I want to see that, but they're getting there. They have a very tough schedule left, though. Vitality, Dignitas, and Barcelona. So that's incredibly difficult for them. That second win was huge for them, but that might not be enough at this point. So, again, we'll see how that goes. Dig probably has the best chance to move up. And G2, obviously does have that chance, too. Because if they take down Energy or Cloud9, they're going to skyrocket up. But, okay, let's continue on. So we have a lot of TSM 4s. It's like C9 or TSM. Like everyone knows that Vitality and Energy are top 2, basically, is what it's looking like. Just comes down to the other ones. Yeah. Pretty much everyone has Vitality 1 and Energy 2. And then they flip C9 or TSM. Well, let's continue. I have TSM number 4. If I can get my list up here. There we go. TSM number 4. Now, TSM, my main concern coming into this week, I predicted them to go 0-2. And honestly, they almost went 0-2. Let's be fair. It was close. They played really close with Barcelona, though. And obviously, they looked the best versus Vitality that we've seen from anyone so far. But again, Metsonoris was on another level that we've, almost never seen from him. And that's one of those things very similar to what PSG did versus Dig, where it's I don't know if that's repeatable necessarily. But even when it's not repeatable, I feel like they're still slightly better than Barcelona. That could switch, obviously. Barcelona and TSM, I feel like, could almost be a virtual tie. But since TSM just beat them, I have them above them. And it's hard to compare them, though, to Energy and C9. But the way... the only way that I can really compare them is basically how clean Energy and C9 have been lately. C9, sure, they lose a game here or there. They kind of threw one against EG. And Rogue, I feel like, I don't know, they've been playing okay. But when you look at it, TSM played what? Mouse and Triple Trouble, I believe, were the two teams. And they were close series. That was when Triple Trouble was still playing relatively poorly. And Mouse, it was still, close. Close games. And then when you get to Energy and C9, it wasn't as close in my mind. So that's why with the teams near the bottom, with Rogue and EG and Space Station, per se. That's why I have TSM number 4. TSM could move up. They're a defensive first team, and then they move up onto the offense, which makes their games closer. But that also makes it more risky, in my opinion. So it's Barcelona's all offense, and they want high-scoring games. And if it does go high-scoring, Barcelona's probably going to win more of them. TSM wants more defensive-oriented games, it seems like. But I worry because, sure, if Barcelona gets a really good offensive game going, they win 4-1, 5-2, something like that. TSM has a really good defensive game going. They win 1-0, 2-1, something like that. So I'm a little worried about some of those results because one mistake could hurt them a lot more, I feel like, than Barcelona generally. But they played really solid this week, and I just want to see that again. But Metsonoris, man, whew, what a day from him. It was insane. He was playing out of his mind, and that was a lot of fun to watch. But for now, I'll have TSM at number 4. Next up, number 3, which, again, most people will expect at this point. C9 are world champions. They're coming in, and it could be interesting if we get a lot of C9 versus Weedham Girls, TSM games again. Because, Season 6 was a lot of fun to watch those matches. C9, I feel like Gimmick... it's tough because I feel like Gimmick and Justin are close in that MVP race, and I feel like Gimmick is doing more for his team because Energy is more dominant, if that makes sense. But Gimmick's playing out of his mind. Just incredibly fast, just beating people to balls, and just a lot of really creative offense. That's not necessarily the freestyle offense that Justin's going for, and it's not freestyle, obviously. We know. But you know what I'm saying. So, Cloud9, though, I like them a lot. I've always liked them a lot. I value mechanics and speed over basically anything else. And their game sense is extremely good too, obviously. But I'm going to go Cloud9 here for number 3. And then I think the rest of the list is pretty easy. But I think everyone wants to see Vitality versus NRG at some point, right? Now, when is DreamHack Dallas? That's coming up, right? I don't remember the dates for that. It'll be awesome if we get to see that match then. It's May 31st through June 2nd. So I think everyone wants to see Energy versus Vitality. We need someone to rig the groups to make sure we see that match, because that should be a lot of fun. But both these teams are just insane right now. They're just going off. Vitality is trying to set a new record for league play because they only have 2 losses. But guess what? Energy and Cloud9 also only have 2 losses. The problem is Vitality, they have Mouse and Triple Trouble left, 2 teams that they should beat. Energy and Cloud9 haven't played each other yet, and obviously they have to play G2. So you expect them to probably drop a couple extra games, but one of Energy or C9 could also set that record. That is very, very possible. Like if Energy has a hot week this week where they sweep G2, then all they have to do is beat C9 and they tie the record. And that's if they beat them in 5. That's if Energy also, sweeps whoever they've left. They have Rogue, which I feel like Rogue at least has been able to take games off of these teams now. But we could see some records by Energy as well. And we could see some, like 2 Goliaths just going into that World Championship. Energy and Vitality, or even Cloud9 plus Vitality, because we haven't seen these teams play. Cloud9 could take it to Energy. And who knows, maybe G2, but they wouldn't be as much of a Goliath, I feel like, even if they come out with that 7-0, just because of how they played. But who knows? Maybe if they sweep Energy and Cloud9, it could happen. But it'd be a lot of fun to watch. Vitality's just been out of this world. It's been insane. Like Energy, super clean touches and super clean play. But on the other side with Vitality, when one of them has the ball in the air, it's like having 3 Justins on your team. Like Energy has Justin, who does creative plays like crazy. The problem is Vitality has 3 of those guys, which is a problem for pretty much every team in the league. I feel like Scrub Kill is having a phenomenal season, and no one's going to stop Vitality, at least for now. When we get to the World Championship, if it comes down to 1 series, who knows? But Vitality, they haven't locked up top 2 yet, but they basically have, so they'll be there. And I wonder, because I think next week is the closed qualifiers for DreamHack Dallas. And top 2 make it to DreamHack based on invite. But also, top 2 in league play, they get the invites from DreamHack Dallas. And then it's like whoever qualifies after that. I wonder if Vitality is going to have the balls to not play in the qualifiers. Because they basically have clinched. They haven't clinched yet. Like, if they get swept twice and things go a wrong way, then they could lose a top 2 spot and not get that invite. I wonder. I assume they would play in it just for the practice, but they don't have to. Like, they don't have to play on that Saturday. So that should be interesting to see. But also, one other thing to keep in mind for the European predictions, those could change a lot based on what happens on that Saturday. So when I do make my video on the Friday or whatever, it could change based on if someone has a really good day on Saturday. So keep that in mind. But I wonder if they'll play in it. Now, the way it works is, say Vitality qualifies on that Saturday to get the qualified invite, I guess you'll call it. Then if they finish top 2 in league play, it goes to the 3rd place in league play for Europe. And then it'll go to the 4th place if the top 2 are the top 2 that it is now. So it's actually really important to get that 3rd seed in your region, because it might mean that you get the auto invite to DreamHack. Now, another thing to keep in mind is Cloud9 and Energy as well. So they play on Saturday for the RLCS. I think Sunday is their closed qualifier. If Cloud9 beats Space Station, if Energy beats G2, if Splice beats G2, then basically Energy and Cloud9 have clinched, and they won't have to play at that point. Now, that's a big if, obviously, Splice beating G2. So they might not play either, but I assume they both will, because G2 will be a threat no matter what. Like, Energy, maybe, if they, sweep them, but they still have to play Cloud9, and they could lose to a Rogue team. So I would expect to see all 4 NA teams, or I'm sorry, all 3 of these NA teams playing it in the close qualifiers to try and get that spot, because you just don't know between those 3 teams who's going to get that 3rd spot just yet. But yeah, so that should be really exciting to watch. But here's my power rankings. Let me know what you guys think. I think they're fairly good. I think main arguments are 7 through 11. Maybe even Rogue, 7 through 12, because Rogue's starting to get hot. But let me know what you think. And then we'll close out this video for the YouTube portion and Twitch as well, I guess. Fairy's doing really well this season. Absolutely. I feel like everyone's going to talk about K-Dop as being like the greatest of all time, but he honestly might be the 3rd best on his team. Scrub played decent last season. Absolutely. I agree with that. Fairy did not. That's an understatement. But, yeah, Fairy Peak's playing extremely well. Yeah, Fairy's playing really well. Like, K-Dop's a big story, obviously, you know, like moving teams, so we're going to headline him a little bit. And I think Scrub has just overshadowed Fairy a bit, but Fairy's, yeah, he's playing out of this world, too. I want to see the Rogue Space Station matchup. Yeah, that one should be a good one. That is week what? Week 5, I believe. Yeah, week 5. Now, the week 5 games, I think, can be kind of flexible. So right now, they're the second to last game, which could determine who is 4th and who's, like, maybe number 6 seed, depending on how EG does. So that could be really interesting to see. Sathers told me every single time they've scrimmed C9 has destroyed them. I mean, that's not too surprising, I don't think. But that makes sense. Makes sense. Ranking the players, maybe. So I'm going to do probably like a top 5 MVP list later on this week. I have to figure out exactly how I want to do it. If I want only just one person from each team, or how I'm going to determine that. But we'll probably do that later this week as like MVP watch. Who to watch out for. Looks fair. Thanks, Sifon. Do you think that the Dignitas Gale Force of last year had the same level of greatness as Vitality this year? Really want your opinion on that. You can't say Vitality has had that greatness yet, because like at the end of the day, league play doesn't mean anything. Sure, league play is good, and it's like a good story, but you got to show up when it matters most, at the regional championships, at the world championship. So Dignitas is still the greater team until Vitality wins that regional championship, and then if you want to take that as a whole for a season, because world championship's kind of on the outside, maybe. And also because now the world championship's like a little bit of a different format, that it actually could hurt top teams, because if it's single limb at the end. We'll see. Vitality's got to win that regional championship before we can say that at all. So we'll see. But if they do, and if they do it like they've been doing so far, then they're probably have the greatest season to date for sure. Justin Scrub or K-Dop MVP right now? Yeah, I would have probably Scrub ahead of K-Dop. Like if I had to make my list, I think Scrub's been playing out of his mind. But like I get the K-Dop storyline, but I think Scrub's been playing out of his mind. Has regionals changed formats? Not that I'm aware of. Pretty sure it's all the same. Like I haven't looked in the rules, but I'm pretty sure. Well, the rules have been weird on the site too. They haven't really updated them, so I wouldn't worry about that. I think there's like a private rule thing for the players. I'm not really sure. I actually can't believe that Garrett has only got MVP once in 7 seasons. Well, 6 seasons, I guess technically. I guess. I don't know. Like, Energy is not never like historically been a super dominant league play team. I think they had one season where they were like, holy hell. The rest have been like pretty good. We also didn't give MVPs, I think, in like season 1 and maybe season 2. I can't remember. So season 2 would have been probably a time where he could have, but I'm not really sure. Let's see. How do you feel the chemistry of the Rogue Squad is coming along? Because I feel like if they got a lot more time to mesh, they could be top 3. I don't buy that argument with the whole, like, you need a half a year to mesh with a team. It's been 3 months. That's plenty of time for the really good players to be able to mesh, in my opinion. Now, of course, that could be different for each team, and some teams might just click super later on. But I don't really like the argument of, like, we're a new roster and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, 3 months. That should be ample time at this point to get your team going. Like, look at Vitality. You know, it's like, it's definitely possible to mesh with the team earlier. But Rogue is finally clicking, which is weird, but we'll see if they can continue that. They looked impressive against Splice, but again, that's Splice. So we'll see. We'll see where Rogue goes. Season 3 was Jacob. No Season 2 MVP. Oh, no. Was Cooks here? Wait. No. Okay. Now I'm just confused. All that stuff is pretty poorly recorded. Yeah, like I don't think we had an official MVP or anything like that in Season 2. They changed the group stage to single elimination. That's for the World Championship. Dark risky. Mechanically, KDAP was third best player in the game, but there are other factors keeping my experience mostly. For sure, like it's hard to tell, like leadership wise, like what's going on with Vitality. Obviously, like KDAP could have a role in that. Like I'm not saying KDAP's playing bad. It's more that this team is so good. Like on the field, he might be right now the third best on his team, but that that doesn't really mean much. They're all extremely close. Didn't I coach G2 at one point? No. Well, I coached iBuyPower Cosmic. Well, I was gonna coach them. So when I retired, the plan was that I would stay on to coach. So I followed Crow to Gambit and Lachino. And I helped them out a little bit at the start, but then I got picked up by RLCS. So I kind of got away from that because it was like kind of weird. I shouldn't be their coach if I'm on RLCS and all that stuff. And also because they didn't really need me anyway. So, and I didn't have time. So I was still under contract with iBuyPower when they won their world championship and all that stuff, but I wasn't like their coach or anything. That was all them. And then yeah. Will the RLCS days be just as long with the new group setup? The format hasn't been announced exactly for what the groups will be, so you'll just have to wait and see. All right, I think we're going to close out the YouTube portion of the video here. Thank you guys for watching. We'll probably have our top 5 MVP watch a little bit later on this week. And for Twitch, I'll stay around for a couple more questions, and then I'll probably head out. So thanks, YouTube. Say bye to YouTube. Bye. I'm going to wave extra long in case anyone actually wants to say bye to YouTube because they want to be courteous, to you YouTube folks. There we go. We got a few bye YouTubes. There we go. There we go. Right there. Look at that. Mad Wookie. Good job. And other people.